is all part of it. It's the multicultural force. I think about 15 years ago in the Council on Foreign Relations' own magazine, Foreign Affairs, they said they'd had world meetings to discuss how to create this new world army, because it was one thing, it was easier to get you to stand up for your old tribal emblems, your flag, etc., the songs and all that, and the uniforms, but how would they create a cohesive international army? And so they put whole groups of specialists on that particular problem at the Council on Foreign Relations. They're still working on it to create this integrated force. And as long as we pay them very well, as always, as Stalin said the same thing, and create the brotherhood idea that they're special, more special than the civilians, then they hope to use these techniques to bind them together into a truly international force. So it's quite right. We're going through that now. We have been for quite a few years.
Yeah, but it's really in full force right now. I mean, we're talking about, earlier today we talked about Marine Corps civilian police, and we had another military guy call in and say, yeah, a lot of my guys are getting deployed, and now it's dudes who are making $14 an hour who we hire off the street, not the MPs anymore, and that's because they are, first of all, integrating a police state here at home. They're trying to blur the lines between the military and the police. They're trying to get rid of posse comitatus, and they're getting us ready for global government and a global military force that you're going to see at the national level exercise 09 coming up at the end of July into the beginning of August, headed by FEMA, working with the UK, Australia, Canada, and Mexico in a terrorist prevention act like no one has ever seen. This is the first drill to prevent terror after terrorism occurs in another country. Let's jump to our next caller. Anne in New York, you're on the line.
I just want to say that I'm new to you, and I'm so proud that you are doing what you're doing, that there's a place, that there's a voice that we can hear that is just focusing on what's really going on.
Well, thank you.
And thank you. And I want to touch on three things. I'm going to be real quick. I'll share this with you. I have 2 different passports plus a green card, and I was recently robbed, and I had to go and get my state ID back. Now, I got my state ID originally 4 years ago, and when I went to get it back, they have now added something to the form in New York City, which makes you divulge whether you have ever had a Canadian driver's license, if you have an active one, and it makes you put down your driver's license number on this form.
Well, right now, Canada is enforcing a new ID system where if you take the new ID card, I think they're going to be issuing them on June 1st. No, I understand that. But right now, they're trying to blur the line. They're trying to create this North American Union. So if you take your RFID, national ID card in Canada, then you won't have to wait in the border. You'll just have your thing. Oh, you got your card? Go ahead. And they're going to do the same thing in Mexico and America. They want to integrate this into a new system. And that was exposed in the Security and Prosperities Partnership Agreements. Why don't you speak to that really quickly there, Alan?
Yes, and also the EU have said that they have a central computer with all the data of Canadians and the U.S. citizens who have that card. So it is, in actual fact, it's your international ID card.
Exactly.
Even though it even said that in it. It could go under the guise of a license. It didn't matter. It is the international ID card.
Exactly. Ann, what else you got for me?
It's here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we know it's here.
That's the frightening part. And I'm just so glad you're alerting more and more Americans. And this bill, H.R. 875, how realistic is that? I mean, I've sent letters to the New York Times, to Eden Foods, to every organic group that I can think of, and any response I've gotten back from organic farmers is that they've never even heard of this.
Well, that's absolutely correct. They haven't heard of it, and they're keeping it on the low, but it's as real as it gets. They always talk about it after they've passed some kind of legislation towards it. They have programmed us to think that GMO foods are going to save us, and you don't need organic farming. In fact, organic farming is bad because it doesn't go through the proper processes, and that's the reason we have swine flu and bird flu outbreaks and people are unhealthy. Meanwhile, these GMO foods are set out to destroy our immune systems, to really hurt us, to sterilize us. Speak to that, Alan.
There's no doubt about it. I read from their own articles, the big players, on depopulation agendas. I keep asking the public, what do you think they mean by that? Just a wish list of things they'd love to do at Christmas time and Santa Claus would. They actually implement them. You cannot ask for volunteers, so you simply implement them. And you're quite right with the GMO food. Look at all the guys behind Obama. He's even got guys there who work for Monsanto on his staff there, and in fact they put the bills forward for this particular one. And we've had it from the Economic Union, we've had it from Britain, from all the prime ministers. They want the GMO to be the sole ruler, basically, food-wise for the whole planet. That's the way it's been mandated. That's why no one can sue Monsanto anywhere. That's why doors open for Monsanto and judges know to leave them alone. It's a must-be, because as far as I'm concerned, you see, food comes under military-industrial complex. It's the oldest trick in the book. Control the food or the water, you control the people. Therefore, Monsanto is part of the military-industrial complex.
Absolutely. And Ann, I hope you look into Codex Alimentarius. There's a lot of scary things within that. I thank you for the call. Let's jump to Johnny in Indiana. Johnny, you're on the line. Yes, sir.
Hello, Jason. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I wanted to comment about the Ashton Lumby case.
Okay.
It's here in my town in South Bend, Indiana, and I heard about it on your show, and I became actively involved in her case. Mm-hmm. And I brought it to the attention of all my media outlets, and it created such an outcry that the U.S. attorney had to respond with it with a press release.
And what did they say?
They downplayed it. Mm-hmm. They commented on the charges, and I talked to Annette at least 3 times a day since I heard about the case. Mm-hmm. And they commented on what he was being charged with, and they said that she had access to her child, but never bothered to go see him.
You know, again, I've got to know more about this case, but I don't think it's right that you come in the middle of the night, you pick up a 16-year-old kid because of a supposed bomb threat. The kid seems to have an alibi. The mother's telling a different story from what the authorities are telling. You know, time will tell whether this pans out or not, and, I encourage people to go check into it themselves. Let's jump to Bill in, what do we got? Bill in Connecticut? You're on the air.
Yeah, Connecticut.
Yep.
What you doing, Jason?
How you doing, sir?
Good. Hey, couple things pertaining to H.R. 875. I was just trying to find it here because I was going to email it over to you, but I actually got a response back from Jim Himes pertaining to that because what's her name? De La Rosa or Rosa?
I think De La Rosa, yeah.
DeLauro was the woman who turned around and put that out. And I thought it was interesting because in his response, he was basically saying that she was not married to one of the guys that actually works at Monsanto. Mm-hmm. His name's Greenberg.
But she is married to this guy, right? Hold over on the other side. We'll be back after this. It's the Alex Jones Show. We're with Alan Watt, cuttingthroughthematrix.com.